Hello crafters, it's Dawn here from Dawn's Inspirations. Today I wanted to share a couple of mini albums with you with the two different binding systems, and this is going to be using Elsa from JustAFewDesigns. This is her page design, and it's called a one-page tutorial binding, or a binding tutorial. I'll leave the link for it at the bottom of the video, and I'll also leave all the details over on my website, so where you can get hold of that. It's a great design system. When you actually open the page out, it's made from one sheet of double-sided 12 by 12 paper, so perfect. So thank you, Maria, for sending this to me. And then when you glue those two bits there, you've got a tag that goes in the middle, and then on each side you can hold photos as well. You can put photos there, 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 there and there, and it's exactly the same on the other side of the page plus your tag. So each page can hold 12 photographs, which is great, and they're just cut down 6x4 photos, so even better. Really quick to do. So as I say, I'll leave the link to her tutorial at the bottom and also on my page, but I'll run it through it quickly with you because I know if I don't, a lot of you are going to say, can you do a tutorial on it? So I'll just do one quickly to show you, and then I want to go ahead and show you how we're going to bind this. So the paper, I'll turn it over this way, the paper's reflecting a bit on this paper I picked. Pick a double-sided paper, doesn't matter which one. I'm using the first editions because there again I know some of you will ask me what paper collection I'm using here. So let me just bring it out to show you. I'll bring out the front cover. This is the Noir de Chic, and it's the first edition's paper, and it's a 12 by 12. Now, some of the papers are glittered, some of them are patterned plain, and some of them are double-sided, some aren't. So I know you can get it here in the UK. I'm not sure about in the States, but any paper collection will do at all. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is score our paper, and you're going to score this at 5.5 inches, 6 inches and 6.5 inches. Then you're going to do a quarter turn and score this at 4 inches and then 8 inches. And then we're going to burnish our score lines. Get my bone folder here. So go ahead and then burnish all your score lines. As I say, this is a really quick album to do and a great design from Elsa. Sort of thing I like, the fact that you're not wasting anything at all, and the fact that you can make an album in really quick time, which I think there again is so good. So I'm just going to get this folded over this way as well. So just go ahead and burnish all your score lines. This paper's quite thick. Right, when you've burnished it all, I might show you the other way actually because the paper's, the light's reflecting off the lighter colour side. Right, so we've got it all folded up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do some cuts. So we're going to cut just in there and just in there, and then we're going to cut these bottom folds out or off, but we keep these because these make the pocket for the middle of your page. So I'm just going to take that one out, and then I'll turn it over and do this one. I'm just trimming this by hand. If you want to cut it with your paper trimmer, that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, now what we do then is your paper will look like that with your two bits left. These two bits we're going to attach here, so I'm just going to use a bit of colour to do that. And you're just going to attach these at the end because these are going to make the gusset for your pocket. and that's as quick as it is. You don't get any waste from this, so it's a cracking design from Elsa, so do check out her site. Okay, and then what we do is we flip that over and glue the other side, and then you've got your pockets on either side, and then you actually attach your binding system on the side here. Now what I've done with mine to make it slightly different, I've used a circle punch. So I'm just going to find the center point here, and to make it easier to get your tag out, what I've done is I've gone in with my circle punch. This is just 1 1/4, but you can use anything you like, really. Personal choice, don't have to do this at all, but I take a little snicket out of there just so it's easier to pull your photo mats out. So when you've added a photo mat, it just makes it easier to pull your photo mats out. But there again, personal choice entirely. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to do is round off these corners to make them look nice. If you've got a decorative corner punch, you can use that as well. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so there's just a couple of elements I'm going to do there. Now normally you would glue this now down, fold everything together and get all this bound together. So let me just show you. So that's how your page would look. I'm not going to glue it down yet because I just want to share something with you. Move those out the way. So this is what I've done with this album here. I've made all my pages. I've made 4 pages here. So as you can see, the tags pull out. Get hold of the tag. Tag pulls out. Your tag sizes are, let me bring this up, it's 3 3/4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, and they fit inside there quite nicely. Okay, so they're your tags, and they're all the same as well. So as you can see, I've made 4 pages here, and I've bound this together in my Bind It All. So I've brought out my good old Bind It All binding system. You can use any one you like. I've got the Bind It All. It's something I bought ages ago, and I haven't used it very often, so it's been really nice to get it out and actually use it. So I bound the 4 pages together there, and then I made 2 chipboard covers just with some spare packaging I had. I used some of the paper collection with the glitter effect on it as well, and then I've covered that and folded that over to cover the inside as well. So I've just used 1 sheet of paper for all that cover in there. So that is showing the album if you wanted to do it with a Bind It All or a cinch or anything else. And it lays nice and flat, which is great. But as I know, a lot of you don't actually have masses of crafty stash and tools. So I want to show you a system of binding it, and I'm going to use my hideaway hinge system as well to make it into more of a book. So to do this, I'm not going to have this part of my binding showing. I'm going to reverse it, and that is why I haven't glued this. So what I'm going to do with mine is I'm going to turn it inside out like that, and then I would glue those down. So my pages look square, and I haven't got that tab missing, but what I have got is a little seam back here that I can attach a binding to. So let me just show you what I've done. I've gone ahead and I've made 4 pages, exactly how Elsa does, but I've reversed the binding, so it's all inwards. They're all stuck down ready to go, and the hole's cut. So I'm going to show you now a different way of doing a binding for this. So I'm going to use my hideaway hinge system and Kathy Alter's hidden hinge system. To make the cover for this mini book, I've cut my chipboard out, and I've cut 2 pieces measuring 6 inches by 5 inches, and then a spine piece measuring 2 inches by 5 inches. And I'm going to join these now together. Now if you ladies have got tie-back, you ladies in the States, I know a lot of you use the tie-back, but if not, I'm going to use a parcel window for this. And what I'm doing at the moment, I'm just lining all my chipboard or mount board or grey board, whatever you'd like to call it. This is actual grey board I'm using here. I'm lining it all out on my mat, and what I'm doing is I'm leaving a 1/4 inch gap between the pieces. Okay, so I'm using a parcel window for this, so I just need to trim this down, and this works just as well as tie back because all it is the sticky backing. So I'm just going around the edges, cutting away the sealant bit because we don't need that. So trim that all away. This is very sticky stuff, as you can see. I'm cutting it with a pair of scissors, it's a bit of a pain. And then we take this top piece away, put that in the bin, and then I'm going to cut this in half. Don't have to be too precious about it. And then peel the backing off, which is coming away quite nicely. And then I'm just going to lay it down on the board. Don't worry if you've got all these wrinkles and things, because you will not see them once you've attached your paper. But what I am having is the gaps in between. So whereas normally you would have the space of your board in between, I like to have a 1/4 inch gap in between, because I find this way then I don't tend to get the cracking on my paper on the covers. So I've just flipped that over, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then we can trim this down. So it's really sticky, so don't worry, as I say, if you've got it's not totally flat. Do not have to be totally precious about this at all, because you can see I'm not. So just burnish where you can, burnish the bits in between as well, and then with a pair of scissors just trim off the excess that we don't need and get rid of that. So that's a quick and easy way if you don't have any tie back. Okay, so just use your parcel windows. You can pick those up from the post office or stations here in the UK. Okay, so, and then by doing that, you've got more manoeuvrability on your spine. Okay, but I've cut my paper to cover. I'm using some glittered paper here to cover, and I've done my best to pattern match the back, and then I've joined the two together. This is measuring, it's quite a lot bigger than I actually need, so you don't really need to know the measurements for this. All you need to know is it's a lot bigger. And then what I'm going to do obviously is to join the spine, needs to be where the join is, so you get a nice tidy finish. So the first thing I'm going to do is to put some of my strong white double-sided tape on here. This is just as strong as red line tape. This is but it's one I get hold of, but red line tape would be better for this job. So I'm just going to put 2 layers there and take these off, and then we can get this stuck down. Now, being a glitter paper, obviously it's even more likely to crack, so I'm going to work along with you and we'll get that in the right place. So I'm just getting my spine in the position I want it to be. I'm just double checking where I want the pattern to be. Okay, because I want that in the middle. That's roughly where I need it to be. Okay, as you can see, I've got more than I need here. and then I'm going to do the same on the covers. I'm just putting a piece of tape at each end, and then I'm going to fill in the middle with the Calal wet glue. So let me just burnish those down to get a good stick on there. So fold that back. Take that off there, and then use my Calal in between. This grey board that I'm using does tend to soak this glue up, so I am putting a good coverage on here, especially around these edges. And then literally lay that back and just smooth it down. I've got a big blob of glue there, and get rid of that. And then I do the same on this side. So you can see it is quite a quick way of doing it. I know a lot of you ladies get a bit frightened when it comes to doing covers, and the bind it all is a great way of doing covers, but if you haven't got a bind it all machine, it doesn't work. So this is why this way is quite good. If you didn't want to do it this way and you wanted to go to the cereal packet route that we've done many times before, do feel free to do that as well. You can do that quite okay as well. And then get that into place. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim some of this extra off, because we don't need all this extra paper flapping about. It's just going to get in the way. So I'm going to trim some of this out of the way. So that can all come out the way. Give a good burnish down with the fist of your hand or the side of your hand, because we will need that glue to dry, and then gradually you can go around and start bringing some creases into your paper, changing the memory of the paper. Try not to force it too much, but this is quite thick. I'm going to need to give it a little bit of force, unlike some paper collections that I've used in the past. So I'm just going around doing that. And I'm also thinking with this that we might add another element in the way of a fastening to this book, just to give something a little bit different that we haven't done before. So I'm going to introduce one of these. You can buy these from Tim Holtz. I don't think I've got a packaging here to show you. I think I've got rid of them all. Let me just have a quick look. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that, people. Right, these are called elastic loops. That's all they're called, elastic loops from Tim Holtz. You get a pack of 10 like that, and they're a good length. Okay, so we're going to use that to fasten. So I'm going to bring in my silent setter to make a hole for this, and I'm going to use an eyelet. This is just a standard size eyelet. I'm just going to use a black one. This is a We Are Memory Keepers one. Okay, so I just need to find a centre point here. So that's 5 1/2. So that's going to be 2 3/4, which is about there. So we've got a centre point. I'm not going to use my crocodile today. I'm just going to use this silent setter because I'm not going to get my crocodile through there. So I'm just going to stand up and make a hole. If you've got a big bite, all well and good. That's perfect. Hasn't gone quite through yet. Just a lot of brute force when you're using one of these. Oh, has that gone through yet? Yes, that's gone through. So let's just poke that other side through. And then we can attach our eyelet on the outside so everything looks nice and smooth. Oh, it's come out already. Let's pop that back in. Bring that down here. Change the tool. And get this flattened out. There we go. Not quite happy with that. Give that another good press down, bit of brute force on there. Still not quite happy with how that's laying. Let me try again with a smaller one. Putting my mat underneath. And then what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to thread this through the other way. Now I'm showing you how to do this because we're going to hide all this mechanism. Need my pokey tool, I think. I'm going to hide all the mechanism for this actually under the inside cover for the book. Gone through. It is a bit fiddly, but it's worth it when you get there in the end. This is where you need 3 hands, as I've said in many videos recently, to craft. I'm just pushing it through a bit more. Nearly through, feed it through. There we go. So that's our elastic, and we're going to use this elastic to fasten our book. Okay, but what I'm not happy about is how much this stands proud. I don't know whether the camera can quite bring that up. It does stand quite proud, so I'm going to rest it on my mat again, and I'm going to try and flatten it as much as possible with a bit of brute force. I could have used a hammer. I haven't got one up here in the craft room, so I'm just using some brute force here to flatten this down a bit, because I don't want it bulging open in the album. You can hear my desk squeaking. That's probably okay now. And then what I can do is fasten that down with a bit of double-sided tape. Move all this out of the way now. Fasten that down with a bit of double-sided tape before we start bringing everything together. So I'm just going to flatten that a bit more with a hammer, and then I'm going to come back to you.